The VFX industry is in serious turmoil right now. Now, I know that on YouTube, sometimes people will make a bit of a mountain out of a molehill just so they have a topic for a video that they hope will get loads of views or whatever. To prove that's not what's happening here, I want to give you just like a snapshot of the state of the industry right now. So this is a post that I saw today on the VFX subreddit, which is obviously a subreddit that's full of VFX artists. And it literally just says, "Are you guys okay?" with a crying emoji. And these are the top comments. No. Nah, laid off during COVID, then laid off again during the strike. I'm hanging in there. Could be a lot better though. No, I haven't completely lost all hope just yet out of love for what I do. No. I'm okay, but 6 months of unemployment is starting to get to me. No, not really. Savings are long gone. I'm in debt. Probably going to do something else. The lesson is heavy, but a lesson nonetheless. And my favorite one just says, help. So what the hell's going on? Well, as you've probably gathered from those posts, there's a massive downturn in the number of VFX jobs that are available right now because there's been a massive downturn in the amount of VFX work that's actually being requested. The result of the downturn in VFX work is having serious repercussions on the industry right now. Several VFX vendors have already went bankrupt. Some of them have closed entirely. Some of them have laid off hundreds of members of staff. Even massive players in the game like Framestore, who are one of the biggest VFX vendors, they've just closed, I think this month, their Vancouver branch, which is a major VFX studio. And if you go to any of the job listing websites, there's really not a lot of jobs being posted at the moment. So right off the bat, let's deal with the elephant in the room. This is nothing to do with AI. Have a few people down the road somewhere lost a job or two to AI? Yeah, probably. And yes, some companies are probably holding out on projects because they think maybe next year this expensive VFX shop can be done for free with AI. But generally speaking, the problem that we're seeing right now is caused just by a huge lack of demand. Studios and TV shows and advertising companies are not requesting the amount of VFX work that they were until recently. The reality of the situation is that it's far too reductive just to point out one cause and say this is the problem with the VFX industry right now. The reality is that there's been a lot of different factors at play and they've all had a compounding effect until we've ended up in this situation where half the VFX force seems like they're out of work. So if the problem ain't AI, then what is actually going wrong? Well, let's go back a few years. First, we had COVID, which was actually really good in the long term, or at least it looked like it was going to be good for the VFX industry. Up until January-ish of last year, we were still seeing all these articles being published about how the VFX industry were just swamped with work. Because during COVID, you had all of these people who were suddenly at home. The streaming services all were making like bags of money and they were getting all this investment. They were greenlighting projects all over the place, right? If you had a TV show you wanted to make, you'd get some money to make it. And they were all wanting this VFX work done. So some of it is just a correction to that, right? Whenever you have a bubble, the bubble bursts and suddenly those people are out of jobs. The streaming services are struggling now compared to what they were. The movie industry is also really struggling to get people's asses back into the chairs in cinemas. We've also seen some pretty significant flops. Movie studios are now kind of reorienting themselves as a streaming services because they've put all these money into projects and they haven't seen the return they expected to see. So now, A, they don't have the revenue to play with that they thought they would have, and B, they're very reluctant to fund those sorts of projects in the future because they know it's probably going to end up costing them money. To make matters worse, the largest union which represents actors in America, SAG-AFTRA, held the longest industrial action in their history, and the Writers Guild of America held the second longest industrial action in their history. So we had months and months of strikes in 2023, which obviously was just a huge bottleneck and put an immediate stop to any work being done. All of the projects that would normally be in post-production that would have been filmed back then were never made. So all of the work that would have normally been coming through the pipeline right now just simply doesn't exist. Obviously, Hollywood now is kind of catching up and some of the projects they would have liked to have made back then are now in production. But as it stands, they haven't been made, so there is no VFX work for anybody to do. Studios and streaming services are also very reluctant to take big financial risks at the moment because of the cost of living crisis. And that's had two big effects on their industry. Number one, people who have less money in their pocket have less to spend on Netflix subscriptions and cinema tickets. And number two, because we've had such high inflation, most of the Federal Reserves and the various banking regulators around the world have put interest rates up, which makes it very expensive for studios to borrow money right now. I mean, even the giant studios like Disney don't have billions of dollars just lying around so they can make movies. They borrow that money. And when the interest rates are very high, it's expensive for them to borrow money. So a lot of those guys are looking right now like, well, let's do the cheaper projects that maybe don't require as much VFX work, and then we can do the bigger projects when it's cheaper for us to finance them. One final factor that I think might be affecting the number of jobs being posted by some of the bigger VFX houses is a change in the industry trend that's going towards more companies bringing everything in-house. What I mean by that is smaller companies that normally would have outsourced VFX work to one of the big guys like DECODED are now just hiring their own team and they're doing all of the VFX themselves. This is happening a lot, especially in creative agencies, meaning like marketing guys, the sort of companies that you approach if you're like Nike and you say, okay, I need an advertising campaign. More and more advertising these days uses CGI, and that can be everything from, you might see a poster for like a bottle of Chanel perfume or a new handbag or something at the bus stop. Like 10, 15 years ago, that would have almost definitely been a photograph, but these days, quite often, that is just a product render. I actually get emails every so often, people offering me that sort of work because it's one of the most common forms of CGI that doesn't really ever get talked about. But these days, we even have whole advertising campaigns where they have like a mascot or something like that, and it's an entirely CGI character. So it's becoming more and more practical for advertising agencies and smaller TV production companies and things like that. Instead of outsourcing all that work and paying another company to be a middleman, essentially, they're just hiring their own guys. So obviously that's making a drop on the number of jobs available for the bigger VFX studios because they have less work on. But it's not necessarily fewer jobs in the industry, it's just jobs in different places. So now we've got the doom and gloom out the way, the real question is the VFX industry dead, or is there any light at the end of the tunnel? And I'm pretty sure and fairly hopeful that things are going to get better. It's not like movies are going to suddenly need no CGI and TV shows are going to stop using VFX. It's always going to be needed. This is just a correction that came at a really horrible time. It's just a market correction, but we are already starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. Over the last few months, every so often I've been checking job boards and I've been checking like the bigger studios just to see if they're hiring, seeing how things are. And I am starting to notice that there's more job postings going up. I've also, completely anecdotally, I know, but I've noticed that more senior jobs are being posted as well, which would indicate that companies are starting to set up new teams and starting bigger projects again. So I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you're an aspiring VFX artist and you're looking at the industry right now, I wouldn't let this put you off. So the real question becomes, like, how does the industry actually survive this period? Because we've got 12 months, maybe 2 years where things are going to be pretty grim. Hopefully the smaller studios can get enough work just to survive, and the bigger studios won't have to let go of too many more staff. If there's any projects out there that you see, maybe smaller VFX houses and things like that, if you see them coming up with their own ideas for TV shows and stuff, try and support it, do whatever you can. If you see individual artists who are like starting their own project or they're selling anything, try and buy it if you can, because it's really going to help people out. Speaking of VFX artists with something to sell, my new course, the Interior Masterclass, just got a huge new update called Module 2, where I show you how to make a realistic bathroom scene. If you don't know about the Interior Masterclass, it's over 10 hours of training where I show you my workflow for making beautiful interior scenes in Blender. It's not a follow-along tutorial, it is just a showcase of my workflow with all the tips and tricks that I use to get the best results possible. On top of the big new update coming out with the bathroom scene, I've also made a discount code for Gumroad. If you use the code module2, you get 20% off. So it's a sizable chunk of money off the cost of the course. At the moment, it has 5-star ratings on Gumroad, which I'm very proud of, and I've been getting some really great feedback about the course. People seem to be really enjoying it and finding it helpful. So I would appreciate it if you can check out the links in the description to get the interior masterclass. I'll also leave a link to the trailer for the course so you can find out more about it there.